Greetings, humans and humanoids. I am Alan from ADR Comics. I am back for another episode, another gameplay video of City of Heroes. Back with the recap character. He is a now level 6 time manipulation dual pistol wielding defender. I haven't actually gone to Ms. Liberty to level him back up yet, but mainly because I'm standing right smack dab beside Aaron Thiery, who was our next scheduled contact in this particular series of opening arcs. So I'm going to click on Aaron and we are going to get started here. Quick reminder, if you are new here and you'd like to see more of what it is that we're doing, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I guess there might be a bell for notifications. I don't know. I'm still very new at this. We are still working out the audio and the video quality. I'm hoping that the changes that I've made from the first two videos make for a more enjoyable viewing experience. In the meantime, we're going to get things going here. So we got Aaron Thiery. He says, "Hello, Recap. I'm Aaron Thiery, a scientist in the illustrious group known as Sarah. Habashi has informed me of your work to push back the chaos in Atlas. I have some information that may prove particularly useful for you. As this is going to be something that is more important than my previous experiments, I have left my labs to work with you in the field, as they say. Shall we get to work?" So, I'll ask about available missions. Part 1. The Tide and Reason to Fight. Matthew Habashi has informed me about what you know, which is that Arachnos has been trying to destabilize the area of Atlas. An interesting idea, to say the least, attacking the heart of a city of heroes. I have been keeping my eye on peculiar events. I believe I know where we may be able to strike to prevent Arachnos from attaining its goal of total dominion over Atlas Park. Well, what do you know? There has been a large gathering of Hellions in the northern part of Argosia Industrial. The area was once the center of industrial work in Paragon, but that honor has since gone to Independence Port. The mostly empty warehouses there are now being used by the Hellions. I've deduced that it's highly probable, or possible, the Hellions are setting the stage for Arachnos to use those warehouses for some sort of invasion. I would suggest a full-out attack on the Hellions to prevent this from happening. Alright. Now, just to make sure, if we do check on what he sells, he only sells inspirations. We've got that pretty much covered at this point. Now, this fight off the Hellions in Argosia Industrial. Or is it Argosy? It's either Argosia or Argosy. Anyway, defeat 15 Hellions. Start heading up. Now what I see here is I actually do see some more Vazalok. I don't really like Vazalok, as I think I've mentioned in previous videos. They tend to throw up on things with acid-style attacks. Definitely not my idea of a good time. So I try and avoid them if possible. But if they're already in my path and these guys are lower level than what I need to worry about, and I'm not sure if my phone can be heard on that or not, but apparently somebody decided to phone my cell phone. Probably one of those stupid automated calls. And okay, so notice that well, there's now a yet another corpse on the ground there. That was not me. There was actually something called an embalmed cadaver. They're the ones that wear the backpack. Basically, when it comes to Vazalok, anything that wears a backpack is probably going to explode on you, which is inconvenient if you don't know it's there. So basically, long story short, if you're fighting the zombie Vazalok and you see somebody with a backpack, stay as far away from them as possible. Or you can actually like get close, wait for a little bit, see them sort of like looking like they're clenching up, basically, and wait for him to explode and damage some of his buddies. Now, here we are in the Argosy area, and these are not Hellions. These are Arachnos. So, you'll notice It says defeat the Arachnos invaders. Defeat 15 Arachnos. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to start popping these guys. They are lower level than what I am at this point, so this is more time consuming than anything else. Because they're certainly not in any sort of danger of actually injuring me or taking me out by any stretch of the imagination. So I've got 13 more to go. So I'm going to just deal with these guys in pretty short order. Now on the ground you will see, well, you got a policeman there, you got a couple of longbow guys. They obviously were fighting the Arachnos operative prior to our arrival, and they have been taken out. See, now since I've taken out all of relevant Arachnos people, that longbow fellow teleported out back to a hospital facility, basically. So the thought is that these guys have got teleportation death, which we then deactivate upon defeating them. Now, figured I would mention this since this was the actual point of coming up with these videos in the first place. I wanted to talk a little bit more about my channel. At this point we have 2 issues out, Project Impact 1 and 2, both available on Comixology. Now, Comixology is a digital-only comic site. It is basically like Kindle for comic books, which, when it comes to indie comics, some people aren't really big fans of. There is sort of the mindset that if you haven't done a print run on it, then it doesn't really count. And I disagree, because basically it's the same sort of thing. Like, you've got Marvel and DC and any of the big names already on Comixology themselves, producing their own comics. So I don't see any reason why, in an age that's going, you know, more and more digital access to things and less physical media, why comics are doing different. So we made the decision. I made the decision, more accurately, to go digital platforms for this, because I've been sitting on the initial issue. The initial issue had actually been done for about 2 years prior to its release on Comixology. And in the meantime, like, just different things, we were looking into possible print runs, and things just fell through for whatever reason. And I finally just got to the point where I wanted to actually see these books out, because they were ready to go. There was really nothing stopping me from getting them out, at least in digital format. Print copy was going to be a different thing, but, you know, we made the decision, okay, well, let's at least get them out the door and try and develop something like, I've been on Twitter to try and hype up things in general for the eventual print. But bottom line, if you just keep talking about things, you get to a point where people end up asking, well, where is the actual product? Like, it's great that you keep talking about, you know, all the different things you're allegedly doing, but until you actually put something out, like, where is it? So, I figured that at the very least I could get the digital form out, try and develop a bit of an audience, and then move to the physical format as well during convention season or something like that. The problem ends up being that you know, the worldwide pandemic hit, and that shuttered all of the Comic-Cons for the foreseeable future at this point. So the opportunity to actually, like, sort of talk about my book firsthand with, like, a printed copy in hand was gone. And rather, so, like, in retrospect, it ended up actually being a lucky break that I didn't go putting out the books in physical format, because I'd be sitting here with boxes and boxes of physical books without any conventions to go to try and sell them. So Project Impact is available on Comixology. Please check out the link in the description below. Check it out. I think we've done a pretty good job with it. Stephen Peterson did the pencils and inks on issue 1 and 2. Issue 1's colors and letters were done by Gary Scott Beatty. Issue number 2 had letters by Richard Lumsden and colors by Linda Scott Campbell, which turned out really well, I think. I like both books in different ways. I definitely think that we continue to make improvements, and we're getting better at the whole process. And again, issue 3 is in the works, but we definitely have to keep getting the word out on issues 1 and 2. Now, as far as gameplay goes, we've taken out the 15 Arachnos soldiers here, and we're back talking to Aaron Thiery. We talk about, I guess, the shift between the Hellions and the Arachnos. Says, this is a very intriguing turn of events, recap. It seems my calculations were off about the Arachnos incursion. I had believed your efforts in Atlas would deter them, but it seems it only served to fuel their anger to begin their invasion. Very curious. I believe this will be the time where your true worth will be put to the test. Do you believe that you have the abilities to help push back the Arachnos attack? Well, yes, I do. Says Arachnos will not stop until they've taken over all of Atlas. The situation is somewhat dire, you could say. Most of the Freedom Phalanx, they're basically the Avengers of this game setting, are currently unable to help fight, whether it's due to the issues in Galaxy City or threats by the Praetorians. Praetorians are an other dimensional set of superpowered folks. Anyway, it says the fate of Atlas is left in the hands of heroes such as yourself. Our goal will be to have, will have to be to find where the main base of Arachnos is and strike at it. So we decided to go after their leaders. So we're going to head back up the hill. So now we've got a regular cadaver in my way. You'll notice he does not have a backpack, and he's not in any danger of exploding on me, which I like just fine. We have a Reaper. I'll deal with that in short order. There we go. And as you can see, I'm almost at level 7. Now these guys are not any of the Wolf Spider commanders. Easiest way to tell the Wolf Spider commanders is they're the ones wearing the capes. So, see, he's wearing a cape. So I'm going to take out 5 of these guys and call Thiery. I do find it kind of interesting that I was able to target the Spider Commander and his minions haven't chosen to get involved at this point. Kind of funny. See, they're just standing there without their commander. But for the sake of being a completeness, we're just going to take care of these guys anyway. Now, let's see. Important ones are the commanders. They're the ones that actually allow you to finish the mission. And these guys are hitting me a bit harder than I would like. So I'm going to activate my time healing sort of vortex thing. I guess it's temporal mending, that's what they're calling it. Okay, so that is a gradual, slow heal over time. It's definitely not particularly strong, but at least it does give me some healing back without wasting inspiration, so I might need for something else. So in the meantime, I've got 2 more commanders to defeat, apparently. Now, with some of the more resilient archetypes, like a tank or a scrapper or a brute, what I'll do is I will just pretty much ignore the lackeys and just go after the commanders, because, like, even at this low of a level, they really can't hurt me that much. Case in point here now, I have leveled up. I am now level 7. And can deal with these guys pretty easily. These guys are not bothering me. So, okay, so we gotta find 3 hidden explosives. These are the glowing crates. Clicking on one. One has been taken care of. Click on the second one. And the third one is just over here. And they have been disarmed. So, I'm going to call Aaron. Says, it's a good thing you've stopped the bombing plot. Recap, it seems though we are no further to finding out where the Arachnos base is. There are a few heroes who have answered the call to help fight off Arachnos, but there are still many who have refused to. Many believe they are not good enough to make a difference. It is unreasonable, really, to believe that just because you have super abilities that you're a superhero. And because of that, we find ourselves in our current situation. Let's see what you can do to get us out of it. So I'll click on Ask about available missions. It says, did you, by chance, see large Arachnos pylons? I received some data from Matthew Hibashi that these pylons are being used as a method of communication. Arachnos sends their data through numerous pylons in order to hide exactly where their data center is located. It's reasonable then to assume that if enough of these pylons are destroyed, we would be able to predict with greater accuracy where the main Arachnos base is. So I ask how many we need to destroy. Turns out it's 3. According to my predictions, I would say 3. There are several other heroes working on tracking down the location as well as taking down the pylons, but you, Recap, are at the forefront of it. I will let Matthew Hibashi know to contact me when the scientists at Seraph and the agents in the FBSA have pinpointed the location of the Arachnos base. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take aim at a few of these pylons, and we're just going to pop them until their health is at nothing and they blow up. So. One thing I am kind of liking about Recap as a defender is that he doesn't seem to attract much attention. Like, he doesn't generate much, I guess, quote-unquote aggro. But that also could be due to the fact that these guys are now grayed out, and after a certain point, after you've out-leveled things, they sense that, or the game essentially senses that it's not worth anybody's time to have a encounter. So basically, you can wander through these things and nobody's really going to bother you. Unless you run, like, directly into them, then they will react, but otherwise I can just pick these things off. There have been other times when I wasn't at level 7 yet where these guys just were like a constant stream attacking me because I was going after the pylons, but basically because I'm too high of level for them at this point, they're not going to bug me. Which does make things a lot easier. And that's just about do it. Unless you miss these stationary objects. There we go. So, clue found. We're going to contact Aaron again. He's going to send us to the base. Says, this is unexpected. Who would have thought that a normal man like Matthew Hibashi would run off to do something so brave? I definitely did not believe it would happen. Yes, it is no surprise the Arachnos base would be heavily fortified. It is their main method of conducting this invasion. I suppose it also makes sense for them to keep their prisoners there as well. Hibashi's plan could just work. Arachnos would be pleased to get their hands on an FBSA agent, enough that they would lower their guard, focusing on bringing him in. That would be the time for you to strike. Okay, so I'm going to check on little missions. So I received the exact location of where the Arachnos base is. The FBSA has confirmed Matthew Hibashi has gone MIA. I can only assume that he is currently within the bowels of the base. I would hurry if I were you. Hibashi plans on using his position in the FBSA as leverage, hoping they will keep him alive long enough for you to arrive. I do not believe that will work. What? Why will that not work? Well, Arachnos already has an agent on the inside. It is how they were able to get into Atlas Park so easy. It should have actually probably been easily, but whatever. I guess not everybody is an English major. It is also how they knew about the meteor strike in Galaxy City. Arachnos was in Galaxy mere minutes after the meteors hit. That is no coincidence, Recap, and Arachnos is not that well organized that they could pull it off themselves. Someone within one of the organizations is helping them, and that is why Matthew Hibashi will die, if you do not hurry, that is. So, given that Matthew was our first contact, we're not going to let old Matthew die. So we're going to go find Matthew, rescue him, be heroic, and go from there. Now you notice nobody's bothering me because, again, they're lower level. One thing to make note of, especially if you are a child of the 80s, check out this rig here. This is basically the model for the 80s Transformers Optimus Prime, just in blue. Like, the side panel of the rig is identical, the type of truck is identical. That's Optimus Prime, just in blue. Anyway, that's a little Easter egg that the developers apparently left in the game. They do that a lot. They have a bunch of different pop culture references stashed in a variety of different places in the game. When I see them, I will point them out because, hey, why not? Okay, so here we are. We are now in the Arachnos base. One of the things I find most annoying about this whole thing is that villains do not tend to pay the electric bill. So, can you hear me, Recap? It's Matthew. I snuck a device on myself too. You, the FBSA agent, get up. Look, I'll do whatever you want. Just let my wife and the others go. Unfortunately for you, we already have a mole within Seraph. We'll just make you into an example for the so-called heroes. Of what we do to so-called heroes. Please, just leave my wife. Anyway. So. Here I am. Now I've got myself some white named enemies. So these are actually my own level. At this level they are not particularly challenging. The TAC Ops officers, I believe, should be yellow though. And they're more trouble to deal with. But again, it's all relative, right? So. Enforcers. Okay, so now, quick aside, plans for the channel. I do plan on getting some character profile videos made up to introduce the different characters of Project Impact, not just from a gameplay standpoint, but from the actual comic standpoint, so that there would be some sort of reference somehow to anybody who might be looking us up online. It's just a matter of figuring out how to use some of these editing programs. I would actually like to acknowledge Merrick over at, I think it's Nimnim3, I think is the name of his channel, who helped me set things up initially with settings on OBS and whatnot. I certainly would be having a lot more awkward time doing this if it was not for his intervention. Okay, so here we are. Wolf Spider Tack Ops. He's yellow. So he's going to be a bit more hard hitting. So I'm going to use a couple of my rage inspirations to try and speed this up a little bit. Now my previous defender, who is not a dual pistol defender, but my previous defender was just awful at distance attacks, like at ranged attacks. So basically he was, like, there are some missions that will be coming up that will be extraordinarily awkward to complete solo because I can't get the broadside of the barn at those upper levels, and I don't have the damage firepower to put the enemies down quickly. So defenders definitely work best when they're teamed up. But I wanted to select something from the archetypes that would be closest to what he did or what he does. And as a post-cog empath, he can see the past, so essentially provide valuable intel for the team as they're trying to enter different hostile situations. But he's not somebody who's meant for offense. That made him very awkward to create in City of Heroes form. I wasn't originally going to make him, but then I started thinking about it, and the time manipulation defender was about as close as I could get, because it did have a bit of offense and it did have a bit of support, and we had the time manipulation specifically. So flavor wise it's about as close as I could get. Accuracy, not exactly, but so be it. We do what we can, and it is good to see Recap in more or less comic book appearance and doing something of merit. Who knows, maybe my gameplay might somehow inspire some individual stories with him down the line. Issue 3, as I mentioned, is sort of in process. We are still working on, I'm working on a draft of a script and some concept drawings for the big bad in that particular issue. Not going to get into that right now. Right now we are fighting an Arachnos guard captain. This Arachnos guard captain is the one who is holding Matthew. Now the first time I had gone through this particular mission, it didn't occur to me that Matthew would actually be sitting on the ground right in front of the crowd of people. So after I took out the guard, I couldn't figure out that Matthew was standing or was lying down right in front of us. So I went looking through the rest of the entire base just to find where he was, and well, turns out he was right where I'd beaten the captain. So I'm going to click on Matthew Hibashi. It says, "Hey, Recap, man, you're sure a sight for sore eyes, and boy, are my eyes sore. And my chest, my legs, basically sort of everything is hurting really bad. Looks like the plan worked out pretty well, huh?" So I've got a couple of different things I could say. I can either tell him he's crazy and that he could have been killed, what was he thinking, which I have done. But why kick a man when he's down? So I'm going to say, you did a brave thing, Matthew. Not a lot of people would have tried that. Haha. Thanks, Recap. Looks like we're both on the same page with this thing, huh? I think I earned some major points with the wife for doing this, huh? Ha ha ha. Well, there's no time to rest now. I'll be fine. You gotta go after the mole. It's Aaron Thiery. He betrayed us all. He was the one helping Arachnos all this time. So this is kind of a shock, because he's the one who told us about the mole in the first place. I don't know what he's up to, why he betrayed us. He even told Arachnos that you wouldn't be coming. It's like he wants you to succeed or something, but he told Arachnos all about our weaknesses and when we'd be vulnerable. He even Told them to hold off my executioner for a few minutes, and it was just in time for you to get here. You gotta find him, Recap. Find out what he's up to. So I tell him that I'll handle it, not to worry. I wander back down the stairs and start heading into the black. Okay, so we're going to have an elevator down here. Click on the elevator. And I'm mere moments away from finding Aaron Thiery, who screwed everybody over. There's Aaron. This is Recap. I was wondering when you'd arrive. Recap, I assume you saved Hibashi, given that you're here now. I also assume that he told you that he saw me. I asked him to spare Hibashi's life. While a coward for most of his life, Hibashi took a stand, due to the example you set for him, and so I decided to have his life intertwined with your choice. Had you decided not to show up or were killed, then he too would have been killed. In a few moments, the commander in charge will show up to fight you. You will soundly defeat him, bringing an end to all this, returning Atlas to its former peace. Okay, so why? Why did you do all this, Thiery? The heroes in the city became too complacent, Recap. Too many left crimes unanswered, believing it was beneath them. Too many simply went about living their lives as if they were normal when they were not, when they had responsibilities to the people. The heroes of this city needed to be shaken back awake to realize their true role in this life. The destruction of Galaxy helped with this, but still, heroes in Atlas continued in their complacency. There needed to be a strike to the heart, and so, here we are. So, he had no right to do any of this. Recap would be ticked off. No, I had no right to do this, but I did it anyway. In dire times, someone must make a choice and do what is wrong in order for others to take a stand and do what is right. Heroes will remember for some time that they must always be vigilant, that no part of the city is completely safe. They will stand and protect others, putting their own petty views or laziness behind them. And you yourself have become a product of this. If it were not for the destruction of Galaxy, for the Arachnos intervention, would you have been stirred to action, to use your abilities for the good of mankind? This I would have helped regardless of the situation. And Recap would. Perhaps, Recap. That is what makes you stand out from the others. But many started out just like you, I'm sure. Eyes full of wonder, your heart bursting with a desire to save the city, the state, the country, the world. But how many times can you do this? Once? Twice? It will eventually wear down on you, and you will give in to apathy, like so many others before you. And then, someone like myself will come along and help reawaken you. I have, Recap, one final request for you. You have a request for me. Kill me. What I have done is unforgivable. I do not deserve to live in the same world as these people, not after what I have helped trigger. It's not a true justice if I survive and all the innocent die. Deliver the final call of justice to me and seal your role as a hero, Recap. So I can either kill him or arrest him. Recap's more of the arresting sort, so we're going to arrest him. You arrest Thiery, ensuring that he'll pay for all of the crimes he has committed. So he's now on his knees, hands behind his head. Click on leave. So from behind is Arbiter. Arbiters are actually the zone levels in the city of Villenside, which we will actually get a chance to take a look at in future videos, because I don't see a lot of villain-related videos, and to be totally honest, I haven't spent a lot of time on the villain side. So, one more shot should do it. Oh, there we go. It's clue found. Mission complete. So I click on exit. And we are back out As a quick aside, I wanted to just take a quick look at the map again, since we have a little bit more of it revealed this time. Okay, see on the map here, we've got different colors. So right now I'm in a red area. There's a yellow area over to the east, green area in the center. Okay, these color codes help us determine the sort of the strength of the enemies. So in theory, since this is a 1 to 6 level zone, I am going to find the most difficult enemies in this general zone. As I move more to the east, then it gets easier. I have an exit to Perez Park. Perez Park is a hazard area, so it naturally is supposed to be more dangerous for low-level characters. And it is. Sure, if I walked in there now, it wouldn't be too pleasant. But anyway, yeah, so if you're on maps looking at things and trying to figure out which end is up, the color coding around the different zones will fill you in on what sort of enemy levels you can expect depending on the level of the zone that you're in. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start heading back over to have a chat with Hibashi and Company, or the Hibashis. Just going to grab my additional power set. I'm going to click on my temporary jetpack. There we are. Now, they're firing at me because I accidentally kind of landed on them. They're really not worth my time, so I'm not going to bother. And it's actually kind of funny. When you look back at Aaron Thiery's speech, he starts talking about how crimes start going unpunished because the heroes believe it's beneath them. Well, that actually ends up playing directly into the leveling process in this game, because if you look at like these villains here, like I could be spending time trying to take them out, but they're level 2s, and let's suppose I do take out a level 2 here. Okay, it says you have defeated Fallen Buckshot. There's no experience, no influence gained, so it quite literally becomes not worth my time at all. Like there's no benefit whatsoever from a gameplay perspective to continue to go after these villains because it doesn't do anything for you. So just by leveling through the zone, you end up fulfilling what Aaron Thiery had to say in the first place, that essentially you're going to become apathetic and you're not going to care. It's like, oh well, these guys aren't worth my time, and that's exactly what ends up happening. So anyway, that's just a little aside. I don't know if they consciously did that or if it just happened to be just, you know, coincidence. But voila. So here we are, back at Mr. and Mrs. Hibashi. I click on Matthew. This looks like everything worked out okay. How recap? Atlas Park is safe from Arachnos. I'm alive, and I just might have saved my marriage by doing something that I think would classify as stupidly brave. I'm happy that Aaron Thiery is going to spend a very long time rotting in the darkest part of the Zig. That's the ziggurat. That's the super-powered prison complex. I might even go to visit him, just to spite him. What plans do you have for yourself now, Recap? After the whole, you know, saving Atlas Park from the brink of destruction against Arachnos. I'm going to say, I continue to fight crime. The fight isn't over yet. You're right, Recap. I have no doubt of that. I have no doubt of. Even now, King's Row could probably use your help. But hey, keep in touch, all right? I like to think we sort of become friends in all this. Hopefully, you won't have to come bail me out of any more problems. I'll keep in touch, Matthew. Take care of yourself. So, I could actually go down and talk to either Twinshot or run over to the Architect Studios manager. But I think I'm going to level up first, and that will actually give me access to a few more contacts anyway. Actually, while I'm over here, I'm going to go over to our longbow fellow here, superpowered field trainer. I'm going to sell off these low enhancements. Now you see the red number beside the enhancement. That indicates that I have leveled past them and that they don't actually do anything for me anymore. And I can't actually even equip them even if I wanted to at this point. So it's easiest just to sell them off. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I have been trying to hold off using enhancements on any of my characters for as long as possible. For some of them, I've been able to go as long as level 22, because once you hit level 22, if you use the invented enhancements gained through the salvage, then they'll give you sufficient bonuses to get you through to the end, which is handy. So that's still the plan. Worst case scenario, I do have a couple of characters that have got plenty of influence that I could mail to myself and give Recap the gear that he needs. But in the meantime, we're going to continue the leveling process. We'll say hey to Ms. Liberty. She says we're doing fine, so I'm going to train up to another level of power. So here we are at level 6, and I believe we get to pick another power at this point. So let's see. These are slowing things down. I believe this is a toggle effect, but I could be wrong. Temporal selection. You distort time around an ally, selecting a period of time where their abilities are at their highest, their damage, their attack rate. I don't think this actually works on us though. So I'm going to use time crawl because this will slow down attacking mobs. So this will help me with attacking mobs. Now, since I'm also ready for security level 7, I will train up to that, and I will add one thing there, and maybe I want another on time crawl. Yeah, I'll put one on time crawl too. I don't actually know what the proper slotting is for these. Some of the player base has created a program that you can use to essentially simulate your character and like do tentative builds to see how best to build their character. I'm not too comfortable with that particular program, so I'm not going to walk anybody through that. But anyway, we are now at level 7, and I'm kind of surprised that nothing else came up. So I guess we're going to talk to Twin Shot, but Twin Shot starts off her own arc as it is, so I'm going to actually end the video right here. Reminder, like, subscribe, comment on this video, on previous videos, whatever. Links to the Comixology entry for Project Impact is in the bio, as are links to our social media. Please follow along for to get a glimpse into the creative process. Support the comic if you can, and yeah, help some Canadian comic creators keep at it. Thank you very much, and we will see you humans and humanoids in the next video.